Hello, this is Amber Parrott from Morgan James Author Support Team, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with author David Roberts, the author of
Good morning.
Healing Conversations, Talking Yourself Out of Conflict and Loneliness. How are you doing today, David?
I'm doing well. How are you, Amber?
I'm doing all right. Thank you so much for joining me today for the living room edition of your book launch.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
I'm so glad you're here. I want to dive in and ask you a couple of questions about your book. So first off,
Okay.
why do we need a book about something as simple as conversations?
Well, I really think when you say, something as simple as conversations, I think, it's actually an art form. And I think everything that we have that allows us to connect with other human beings has to do with how we converse. And I don't think it's as simple as maybe it looks like on the surface because there's so many things happening. It's not only the language we use, but the body language, is the expectations. But I also think, and obviously the motivation in writing the book is I think there's a lot of underlying things that we need to think about. There's needs that we have, there's needs that the listener has. And so I think that's really what prompted it, that it looks simple on the surface, but underneath it's really complicated.
Sure, yeah, and I agree. I think a lot of times we dive into conversations and we don't realize like you mentioned, the layers of communication that's happening. So in your book, you talk about seven elements. Where do these seven elements come from? And could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think mostly just as a practitioner, I've been a minister for over 30 years, and I mentioned in the book, it's that people have shared their deepest stories, and so I think it's a unique place. I don't think there's that many people who sit in space with people who are going through crisis or pain, whether it's the loss of a loved one or a marriage crisis or kids in crisis, whatever it is, and tells their story over and over and talks about what's happening to them. And so this is really a practitioner's book. This is really a book about just observations and experiences of what happens to people, what they need in moments like that, what happens to us in our loneliness and our isolation, and how can we talk our way out of it? How can we communicate and converse in a way that gets to the deeper issues? I think that's the real idea behind it. And so I think these things have kind of been in the laboratory. They've been developing over time with real people and real situations. And so
Yeah,
what my prayer is that it's a practical book.
yeah, yeah, I love that. And so who do you think this book would be most helpful for and why?
Well, for me, I think as with so many things that it has to do with what I feel strongly about or what I teach about or what I write about, I want it to be scalable. I think, it needs to be as effective for a person that's saying, I just want to have a better conversation with my spouse or my child. But I think the implications are how do we communicate better as a culture? We've become deeply divided in our culture, and we just have this deep sense of there are people that think like I think, and there's everybody else who are wrong. And we've got to get away from that. We've got to get back to where we value everyone. And the voice that we need to hear is not just our own, but we need to converse in such a way that we're able to grow and mature and change and have respect for others and value opinions that are different from our own and recognize that we need each other. We need that diverse perspective. We need all the voices in order to navigate and figure out what works best. And so I'm hoping and I believe that it's scalable. It's as useful for a person who's trying to take care of one specific relationship, but it also works for folks who are really trying to just understand the culture and life and how to connect better.
Yeah, so it sounds like the book would be valuable for anybody who interacts with other people. So virtually everybody.
Almost anyone who has a conversation might be able to benefit a little bit from. And I think one of the things that happens is we're just giving vocabulary. We're giving words to what's happening already to us. And so I think that's what good work does. It's what good counseling does.
Yeah.
It puts words to our feelings and emotions and gives us tools to work with.
Yeah, and that can be so powerful in, as you've kind of spoken to, kind of bridging the gap from thinking that our way is the only way and seeing other people's perspectives. So that is so
Right.
powerful. So,
Yeah.
as a last question, as we close out today, I want to ask, where can the readers at home connect with you?
Well, you can connect on Facebook. There's a couple of ways to do that. The easiest and quickest and most direct way is Facebook Healing Conversations. And so we post a lot of information there, and there's all the links to access the book. But we're there also in the other capacity as Montrose Church, and lots of things you can see there. There's also a KABC 790 website, a radio station in LA. We do a radio segment on there. Those podcasts are all up also under Healing Conversation. So multiple ways to connect.
Yeah, excellent. Multiple ways to have a healing conversation.
Multiple ways. So.
And so with that, I want to invite you viewers at home to check out Healing Conversations wherever books are sold. And David, thank you so much for joining me today. And viewers, thank you for watching at home. And again, David, congratulations on the release of your book.
Thanks so much, Amber.